Hi, this is Bob from the Free Film School, and today I'm going to be sharing a find I found on the internet as far as free film for film history. And, the alternative is to go to a 4-year film school and spend thousands of dollars for lectures on film history, such as the history of film from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. And what's become real hip, and it was hip during the times, but it's become a little hip because it's kind of a retro deal, is the history of film of the 70s. But I found online that there is a school that gives free film lectures. They videotape the professors, and they give free film lectures. And you get the film history from the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. And you also get, I believe, the 50s. And then they jump to the 70s, and they do background on Scorsese and Spielberg. And one lecture I was watching, a lot of it was the director of MASH. That was my memory is failing me, but basically Robert Altman. He basically directed a lot of movies in the 70s. He directed MASH, which was his first big hit, and then he kind of abandoned. I think Big Hollywood abandoned him, or I guess it was a mutual agreement. But they both abandoned each other, and maybe it was blacklisted, but I don't know. Anyway, he came back after a long exile, and he did a movie called, it was in the 80s. Again, my memory is failing me. I don't know if I'm getting more comfortable on camera. I think this is like the 10th show I've done, the 10th live show, and I think I'm a little bit more personable, but I'm ad-libbing. If you didn't catch that, I'm ad-libbing. I'm actually watching the Emmys at the same time. I'm watching a rebroadcast of the Emmys at the same time. So I'm doing a lot of things at once. So I don't know if Professor Bob is up to the big challenge. So Robert Altman directed MASH. He directed Sideways, which was like a it's a precursor to a reality movie. Basically, they basically filmed three segments, three stories, real life stories in L.A., and they edited them together. They didn't really edit a lot of the footage, so they made it look very realistic. So that was the trick of that movie. And The Player is the movie I was trying to remember. It was made in the 80s. Late 80s, early 90s. I think it was the late 80s. But it's kind of it's a story of a Hollywood executive and this writer that it's been trying to get into Hollywood system for a long time, and he doesn't get in. So he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's very upset with studios, and he meets this Griffin is the guy's name, the character's name, and he meets him, and he gives him his script, and this executive, to get rid of this guy, just says he'll look at it or he'll help him out or whatever. He never does. So this guy tries to kill him. He goes after him. So that's that's the last movie that Altman had a wild success with. I saw Altman. In the 90s too. I was a member of IFP West before they became just IFP, and I went to a talk where he talked, and it was in L.A., and he was a little older at the time, and he just finished a movie called Gosford Park, which was filmed in England. It was sort of like an upstairs, downstairs movie. So he was telling stories about MASH and all his other movies, and he was saying that new technology is very important if you're a filmmaker. That's how you can get an edge if you use the new technology. I think in the 70s he was saying that multi-track recording. He hired a sound person with the brand new technology of multi-track recording, and no one ever used that in film. So he used it, and he basically, I don't know if he invented it, but he used it in that movie, and then I think Spielberg and a couple other people used it later in the 70s. But overlapping dialogue is basically when you have multiple characters talking at the same time, and the scenes play out with multiple characters talking at the same time. But anyway, I want to get back to my Emmy viewing time, and I really like the fact that they've mentioned. I mean, if you've been following TV, it's getting a little bit moved away from the networks. I think I only saw two network nominees. One was a nominated show, and the other one was a nominated, actually two nominated actors and a nominated show. But a lot of the Emmys now are being, first the trend was going to cable and away from networks. Now it's going away from cable. I mean, there are still cable shows being nominated, but now the quality television is going to Netflix and maybe Amazon in the future, Hulu. It's really a shift, and it's really, I mean, and they mentioned Stephen Colbert. He was doing his monologue, and he's mentioning all these new things that have never been nominated before, new venues like Hulu and HBO. Well, HBO's been nominated for a long time, but Hulu, Netflix, all these things, and also he even threw in YouTube, which I think YouTube is the future. I mean, I really do think YouTube is the future of entertainment. It may not be the main entertainment in the future, but it's getting there, and the quality is getting better with YouTube Red. And I see it. I see us on YouTube getting better and more polished. And I mean, scripted shows. I mean, not just comedy shows or not just gimmick shows to get views, but I think in the future there might be scripted TV dramas on YouTube. But that's just my 5 cents on the thing. Anyway, back to my point of this whole live video. I discovered through my research, I want to give everyone that watches this channel free stuff and free information, because the thing about paying for film school, it can get expensive. I mean, when I went to film school in the 80s, tuitions were getting a little bit expensive, but it wasn't as expensive as it is now. I mean, now you're talking, I don't know, $50,000 a year, maybe less. But still, if you times that by 4 years, or if you get a graduate degree, that's about the price of a house in some states. So it's pretty expensive. So anyway, I'm trying to give you a lot of free information, and I found this out by researching it for you guys. There is a film school that gives free lectures online, and it's a film school. It's not USC, it's not UCLA, it's not any film school that you would think would give away their lectures. Or most film schools won't give away their lectures. They want you to go to film school, their film school. But this film school is interesting because it's not known as a film school. Basically, MIT has all their lectures, or most of them, with film history from the 20s, 30s, 40s, the 70s, online. And they also have film theory, and I believe they have film, how to make films, how to tell stories, script writing. I haven't really investigated everything they have, but when I saw this, I said, this is going to be something my viewers would like to see and would like to know about. So basically, you can go to their site, to their MIT site, and it basically looks like a combination. Their site looks like a combination of a PowerPoint presentation with, text plus video. And you get a real professor, a real film professor at the school. They also have a drama department too. It's sort of like I'm gonna make a joke now, but this is what I thought when I first heard about this. Like I said, it's not a traditional film school, and I said, what is this? This is a person that wants to be a cross between Martin Scorsese and Bill Gates, something like that, or Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, and that's funny. Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates dropped out of, and they didn't go to MIT. They went to Harvard, but they dropped out. I've known a lot of people in my life too that really successful people drop out of college. So I don't know if that says a lot for college, but anyway, I think you can piece together your education in a couple different ways. I mean, you can drop out of college. You can go to college for a few classes. You can take free classes. You can take correspondence classes. You can take online classes through through my service, the online film school. Or there's plenty of other film schools on YouTube too, and they're all good. They're all good. I've sampled some of them. They're very good. So you can put all this stuff together. I mean, there's people out there that are they just want to basically share their knowledge with you. So I would take advantage of all this information. But this week, that's my focus. I want to let you know about the MIT film courses online. And basically what you do is you go to Google and you search for MIT Online Film School and online courses, and you'll come up with a lot of online courses on their site. I'm going to put, when this video processes, I'm going to put in the description of my video, the second version of this video, not the live version, but the second video version of this talk. I'm going to put in the link, the direct link to the MIT online classes. But right now, you don't really need to know the link to get to the site. I mean, basically, you just go to Google and you put in online MIT film courses or classes, and it should come up with a list of classes, and it should also come up with the site. So that's my talk for tonight, and I wish everyone a great week, and we'll see you next weekend with another edition of the Free Film School. Thank you, and have a good week.